Before you get started drawing hair and watching the steps in this video, make sure that you divide your sketchbook page in half and at the top draw hair how you think you would go about drawing hair before we do the practice here. Before you get started with drawing that before picture, here's what I'm looking for with the hair. So what I would do is just start out with a quick circle for the outline of the face and then start filling in what you think the hair would look like from there. So you don't have to do like a detailed face first or anything like that. But for the after picture here, we're going to get started with drawing the outside of the face first as well. And then as you're working, you're going to start and keep things as simple as possible. So look at just the outline of the shape of the entire hair as a whole. So I'm going to be going around the top here, around the outside, and extending that down. And I'm just really looking at the contour, so keeping it simple. I'm not drawing any lines inside of the hair yet. And then after, I'm just going to start filling in all the shadow areas. So one thing to avoid when you are drawing hair is drawing streaky lines. So don't worry about the texture at all. Right now, just look at the hair like an object, like what we did for the last project, where you're filling in all of the shadows and leaving the highlights white. We will eventually be adding the details, but for now, just start looking at where it's going to be the darkest. Usually, if you have a part in the hair that you're drawing, one side is going to be darker and the other side is going to be lighter. So this part here starts darker, and then I have a highlight on the other side. So see if you can find where on the hair is the darkest. And then I'm filling in just anywhere else that looks dark. So on this picture here, you can see right underneath the ear is almost a highlight. And then it gets a little bit darker. There's another highlight, and then really dark at the bottom before it comes out into another highlight. So I'm just going to try to shade a lot of that in, a lot of those darker tones. And as I'm shading, I'm kind of following the contour. So even though I'm not drawing individual or separate lines, I'm keeping it curved in the direction that the hair forms. And then I'm taking a blending stump, or again, you could use like a paper towel rolled up or your finger, and I'm just blending it out so that the medium tones are filled in. And then I'm trying to leave the highlights white. If you need to go back in and maybe erase out some of the highlights, that works too. But after that, I'm going to take my pencil, and this is where you might want to begin adding some different texture and details. But here's the eraser. So again, just going over any highlights, lightening those areas that you might have darkened too much with the blending stump, and then touching them up again. But then you're going to go in with the texture here and just add some of the lines in the direction that the hair flows. You don't have to add 1,000 lines or a lot for the texture. You can just add a few, and that's going to imply the texture and imply the direction of the lines that you're shading the hair with. So really take your time with it, look at the direction and the details, and that's going to tie everything together as you are shading in the hair.